Well, Deb Murphy filed this report for Sierra Wave Media. A group of Owens Valley residents may be heading to Washington, D.C. within the next 10 days to witness the, at one time, unbelievable, the presidential signature on legislation that includes the official designation of the Alabama Hills as a national scenic area. Now, that bipartisan effort, the Natural Resources Management Act, passed the Senate with a overwhelming 92-8 majority February 12th. That was the first day after the shutdown ended. This according to Kevin Mizzou with the Alabama Hills Stewardship Group. House Natural Resource Committee Chair Roger Alva introduced the bill Tuesday with an expedited process that limited discussion to 50 minutes and required a 2/3 vote. Final vote 363 to 62. Now President Trump has 10 days to sign the act, and the stewardship's 10-year effort to secure the protection for the Alabama Hills will be over. But according to Mizzou, now the work can really begin. The designation allows for all existing uses with the exception of commercial mining. The benefits for the 18,000 acres of Bureau of Land Management land west of Lone Pine will be worth the 10 years it took to get the designation in place. Federal funding will pay for 2 full-time people in the field, as well as infrastructure improvements. The stewardship group will transition to a nonprofit organization similar to Friends of the Inyo and will have the capacity to apply for additional grant funding. Mizzou talked about a research library in the area rich with geological wonders. This is an exciting process, Kevin Mizzou said. We'll be able to address overuse and protect the viewscape for the 120,000 visitors a year. Now, following the community outreach, it was apparent a National Scenic Area designation would be the best vehicle. Mike Prather drafted the legislation in 2010, Mizzou said. Prather did a masterful job. 90% of Mike's work is in the current legislation. The group and Inyo supervisors took the legislation to Senator Dianne Feinstein's office, where it was enthusiastically received by staff but sat dormant for 4 years. Congressman Paul Cook picked it up and introduced it in the House. The designation legislation passed the House as a standalone bill, but never made it to the Senate in 2016. Same thing happened in 2018 when the California Conservation and Recreation Act passed in the House and was never introduced in the Senate. Deb's full report is posted on our website, sierrawave.net. Also, Deb Murphy writes that Mono County hasn't won the war, but it did win the first battle in its lawsuit against Los Angeles Department of Water and Power's decision to withdraw water allotments to its Long Valley area grazing leases. Now, last Friday, the Alameda County Civil Court indicated LADWP's request to dismiss the suit was overruled. According to Mono County Counsel Stacy Simon, there is no written decision, just one word on the website that says overruled next to the docket entry. Now, Mono County's writ of mandate asks that LADWP be required to provide irrigation water to its grazing leases until the analysis under the California Environmental Quality Act has been completed. Now, the department in turn asked the Alameda Civil Court to dismiss the case on the grounds that the existing leases contain the provision that water allotments could be reduced to 0 under any circumstances. Mono County's argument against dismissal: the new proposed waterless leases were outside that provision since it represented a larger action, a shift in water policies by the LADWP. Simon stated in an email the court thought there was enough to proceed to the hearing on the merits of the case. Also, Deb reports that the Mammoth Town Council approved a grant application that would result in the conversion of a portion of Mammoth Mall into 13 affordable housing units. But, as they say, the devil's in the details. Now, according to the presentation at a recent Mammoth Town Council meeting by Sandra Moberly, the $3 million community development block grant would be issued to the mall owner, Greenlaw Partners, as a loan. Now, the result would be a range of units from a 3-bedroom to 5 studio apartments restricted for low to moderate income households. The grant even covered some of the costs for the town's management of the ground. to the tune of $265,000. However, here's the glitch. Greenlaw wanted a 60-year loan with no interest and payments starting in 60 years. Deb writes, try that on a mortgage broker. The project itself got a lot of support considering the town's recent needs assessment of close to 600 units. The financing, not so much. Mammoth Councilmember Bill Saucer wanted a requirement the loan would be fully repaid if the mall was sold. Mammoth Mayor Cleland Hoff wondered about the lifetime of the structure itself. Then there was the concern that if the project went south, it would impair future CDBG applications. Mammoth Lakes Housing Executive Director Patricia Robertson lay that concern to rest. If better loan arrangements couldn't be worked out with Greenlaw, the town could not accept the grant with no future repercussions, she told the council. Now, in the end, the council approved submitting the grant with direction to staff to work on reasonable terms. We need that information before we accept the grant, Councilmember John Wentworth said. Motion passed 4-1. Saucer, the lone holdout. Well, Inyo County took back management of the water systems for Independence Laws and Lone Pine in January. The first official billing generated some serious backlash. Deb Murphy reports calls started coming in asking why some of those invoices were so high, far above the $60.66 for the first 2 months of the year, based on base rates for residential users under the previous contractor, Wilder Barton. Now, according to Inyo County Public Works, Chris Cash, the department read the 850 meters around Christmas to get a baseline. The current bills reflected water usage plus any recurring balance for the first 2 months of 2019. Here's the good news. There's a lot of work to untangle Wilder Barton records, and the final decision on what to do going forward will be made by the Board of Supervisors once that untangling is finalized, Chris Cass said. Now, when Inyo County started the water system discussion, customers complained of not getting bills, much less having their meters read. Cass said people are saying they were billed, but the meters weren't read. I don't have an answer for that. We bear some responsibility in that. Deb's full story on SierraWave.net. We'll be back with more news.